She fell in love with a man who never existed. Kirat stands on a doorstep in Brighton, England. Her hands are shaking. She's been driving for over an hour, replaying the same question over and over. Is he even real? She knocks. Footsteps. The door swings open and it's not him. It's a woman. Mid-30s. Confused. Standing in his house. In his doorway, like she belongs there, because she does. I need to speak to Bobby, Kirat says. A pause. Then from somewhere behind her, a man's voice. Kirat's stomach drops. She knows that name. She has heard that name whispered to her on Skype calls at 1 a.m. She has planned a wedding around that name. And then Bobby steps into view. He looks at her the way you look at a stranger who's knocked on the wrong door. I don't even know who you are. 10 years. 9 years of daily messages, late-night calls, a marriage proposal, wedding venues, engagement rings picked out together, and the man standing in front of her has never seen her face in his life. So what exactly has Kirat been in love with for the last decade? Stick around, because this is one of the strangest, most elaborate deceptions ever uncovered, and the person behind it is not who you'd expect. Before we get into it, if this is your first time here, hit subscribe now, because you are not going to want to miss where this story goes. Trust me, it gets so much stranger than you think. Quick one before we dive in, where are you watching from? And what time is it there right now? Drop it in the comments. I always love seeing how far this channel reaches. Who is Kirat? Rewind to 2009. Kirat is in her late 20s, living in London, working as a radio host, sharp, social, good with people, the kind of person whose job is literally to read a room and connect with strangers for a living. She interviews guests. She thinks on her feet for a living. She is not naive. She is not isolated. She has a big, extended family, a busy social life, a career that puts her in front of an audience every single day, which is exactly what makes this story so hard to believe. Because when we picture catfishing victims, we tend to picture someone lonely, someone with no one checking in on them, no one to bounce a weird feeling off of. Kirat had all of that: a career, a community, a tight extended family. And somehow, none of it was enough to stop what was already quietly beginning. Kirat is close with her cousin. We'll just call her cousin, since her identity was never made public. They're not just family, they're genuinely close friends. The kind of cousin you'd trust with anything. One ordinary day, cousin sends Kirat a message. Hey, you should connect with this guy on Facebook. His name is Bobby. He's a cardiologist. He lives locally. Cousin knows him apparently, and thinks Kirat might like him. Kirat clicks accept, and just like that, the door opens. Kirat and Bobby start messaging. Nothing dramatic, just two people getting to know each other online. Bobby seems normal, funny, a little charming, a busy doctor's schedule that keeps him vague about specifics, which, at the time, seems perfectly reasonable. He's a cardiologist. Of course he's busy. Of course his hours are unpredictable. At the time, both of them are seeing other people, so there's no pressure, no expectation. It's easy, low stakes, the kind of digital friendship where you're not really examining anything too closely, because there's nothing on the line. They become Facebook friends. They chat here and there. Weeks turn into months. It's the kind of slow burn online acquaintance a lot of us have had. Someone you talk to online but have never actually hung out with in real life. A name in your messages. A face in a profile photo. Not a stranger exactly, but not someone you'd necessarily recognize walking down the street either. Except Kirat has seen him once. And it's the one piece of proof that will end up anchoring everything that comes after. One night, Kirat's out at a bachelorette party. Music thumping, drinks flowing, the whole bar packed shoulder to shoulder. It's loud, it's late, somewhere around 2 a.m., and through the crowd, she spots a familiar face. Bobby. The thing, Bobby, right there, across the room, laughing with a group of people she doesn't recognize. She's a few drinks in, feeling bold, so she pushes through the crowd and walks up to him. Bobby! He turns, looks at her for a second, and just nods. A half smile. Something like, hey, or what's up. She can barely hear him over the bass. The music's deafening. It's chaos. Bodies everywhere. Sweat and neon light. They don't really talk. There's no real conversation to speak of. Just a brief, blurry, forgettable moment in a packed bar, gone as quickly as it happened. Kirat doesn't think much of it. Just a funny little coincidence. Oh, that's the guy from Facebook. She goes back to her friends. The night goes on, and the memory fades into the background of 1,000 other blurry nights out. Hold on to that moment, though, because years from now, it will be the single thread Kirat clings to every time a doubt creeps in. I've met him. I've seen him with my own eyes. She has no idea how wrong that certainty is. Sometime later, Bobby tells Kirat online that he's heading to Kenya to visit family. Normal enough. A little exotic maybe, but nothing that raises any flags. He leaves. Life goes on. Kirat goes back to work, back to her routine, and Bobby fades into background noise, one of dozens of people she keeps up with online, but doesn't think about every day. Then one afternoon, Kirat's at work when her phone rings. It's cousin, and she's frantic, voice shaking. Bobby's been shot. In Kenya. It's bad. They don't know if he's going to survive. Kirat is stunned, but if she's honest with herself, she barely knows this guy. They've never even had a real conversation in person. One blurry nod at a bar years ago doesn't exactly make them close. She feels sad, the way you'd feel about anyone's tragedy. A flicker of, oh no, that's awful. But it doesn't shake her world. It doesn't consume her day. Then cousin calls again, days later. Bobby didn't make it. He's dead. Kirat mourns him the way you mourn an acquaintance, quietly, briefly, and then life moves on. A sad footnote. A name that used to pop up in her messages, and now won't anymore. Except it isn't over. Not even close. It's only just beginning. If you're new here, comment below right now with your prediction. Do you think Bobby is exactly who he says he is? Keep that guess in mind, because I promise you, it's going to get flipped upside down. Months pass. Then cousin drops a bombshell. They'd been lied to. Bobby isn't dead. He's alive, hiding in New York City, in witness protection. Stop and sit with that for a second. Not, there was a mix-up. Not, he survived, thank God. Witness protection. An entire secret government relocation, apparently, for a cardiologist Kirat barely knew. It's the kind of detail that should sound absurd out loud. But grief has a strange way of short-circuiting our skepticism, and relief at hearing someone's alive can override every red flag in the book. Kirat is floored. She messages Bobby directly, and sure enough, he responds. He can't say much about what happened. He's still recovering in a hospital, and witness protection means he has to be careful about details. But he's alive. That's what matters. That's the story she chooses to hold on to. And from here, things escalate fast. Bobby opens up about a painful divorce, about major health complications, a stroke, blood clots, ongoing hospital stays, one crisis after another. Kirat, sympathetic and curious, starts talking to more people connected to him. His medical team, his ex-wife, his sisters, his friends, all reachable, conveniently, through Facebook. Every single one of them backs up his story. Every single one of them makes the world feel a little more real, a little more undeniable. An entire universe builds itself around this one man. A cast of dozens of profiles, all corroborating each other, all feeding the same story back to Kirat, again and again, for years. It's not one lie, it's an ecosystem of lies, each one propping up the next. This goes on for half a decade of daily conversation, of shared grief, of a growing emotional bond with someone Kirat has now spoken to more than almost anyone else in her life, and met, for 30 seconds, in a dark, loud bar, one night in 2009. Then, in 2015, everything shifts. Bobby tells Kirat something he's apparently been sitting on for years. He's always loved her. And Kirat, after everything, after the years of conversation, the shared grief, the slow-building intimacy, tells him she loves him too. Tan moves fast from there. Because of the stroke, Bobby's vocal cords are damaged. He can't speak easily, so their relationship becomes a strange asymmetric rhythm. He texts. She replies with voice notes. I love you. I missed you so much today, sweets. So much. I really hope you're not too down. Day after day, year after year. A year into the relationship, they finally start doing video calls on Skype. His voice comes through as a raspy whisper, a permanent injury from the stroke, or so she's told. The screen is dark, or angled oddly, or the connection's bad. There's always something making him hard to see clearly. But it's enough. It's him, or at least, it's a voice she's grown to trust completely, a presence she's built years of intimacy around. Then Bobby proposes. Not in person, through Facebook Messenger. A message, a ring emoji maybe, words she's waited years to read. And immediately, a dozen of Bobby's friends start flooding her inbox with congratulations. Voice notes, well wishes, excited messages from people she's never met but has come to think of as almost family. It's a full, immersive, socially validated engagement. Everyone around her, at least online, treats it as completely real. Because to them, it is. They start planning a wedding, venues, outfits. They send each other links to engagement rings online, picking one out together, piece by piece, from thousands of miles apart, or so she believes. For 9 years, this has been building. And now it feels real. It feels permanent. Honestly, if you've ever trusted someone with your whole heart, you know exactly what this feels like right now. That warmth, that certainty. Before we get to the part where it all comes apart, go ahead and hit subscribe, because what's coming next is going to change how you see this entire story. But something's off. Every time Bobby promises to finally visit her in London, something happens. Witness protection is relocating him again. He's had another stroke. There's a family emergency. There's always a reason, and it's always at the last minute, right when Kirat has let herself get hopeful, right when she's cleared her schedule and started imagining what it'll feel like to finally hug him. And Bobby starts to change too. He gets jealous, controlling. He demands video calls just so he can see where she is and who she's with, but his own camera stays off every single time. He wants total visibility into her life while giving none of his own. No explanation ever really lands. It's just accepted, quietly, because after 9 years, why would she doubt him now? When you've invested that much of yourself into someone, the mind finds ways to explain away almost anything. Then, finally, hope. Bobby messages her. Sugar Plum, I'm coming to London. Kirat is elated. She's tracking his flight online in real time. She's picking out what to wear. 9 years of waiting. And finally, she's going to meet the man she loves face to face. And then right before she's supposed to meet him, he cancels. Again. This time, it breaks something in her. You've broken my heart. You've shattered my dreams. I thought you loved me. I love you. But I can't keep doing this. For the first time, the doubt doesn't fade. It sits there. 9 years, and she's met this man exactly once for 30 seconds. In a loud bar, at 2 a.m., years and years ago. Something is very wrong, and she needs to know what. Kirat hires a private investigator, and it doesn't take long for him to find something. Bobby is not in witness protection. He is not in New York City. He has a house, an actual, physical address, about an hour outside London, in Brighton. Kirat is furious. He's been an hour away this entire time. She gets in her car and drives straight there. This brings us back to where we started. She knocks. A woman answers, turns out to be Bobby's wife. Kirat, in disbelief, insists on speaking to him directly. Her mind is racing. Is this a cover story? Some strange side of the witness protection program nobody explained to her? She's still, even now, trying to make the pieces fit into the story she's always known. And then Bobby appears. Real, physical, standing in front of her for the first time in nearly a decade. No whisper, no dark screen, no excuse. Just a man she does not recognize as the voice she has spoken to almost every day for years. She asks him why he lied to her for all this time. And he looks at her, not guilty, not caught, just genuinely, completely confused, and says he has no idea who she is. Because he doesn't. He's never spoken to her, never messaged her, never proposed to her, never planned a wedding with her. As far as he is concerned, she is a total stranger standing on his doorstep, asking him about a decade of his life he never lived. Kirat drives home in complete shock, crying, calling her cousin to try to make sense of what just happened. Bobby's married. Bobby has no idea who she is. Nothing adds up. She has no idea that the answer is about to arrive at her front door. The next day, Kirat hears a car pull into her driveway. She opens the door. It's Cousin. And what Cousin tells her next is one of the strangest confessions imaginable. Back in 2009, Cousin created a fake Facebook profile, using the identity of a real man named Bobby, a real cardiologist living locally, who had no idea any of this was happening. He never knew his name and photos were being used to build an elaborate fictional persona. He was simply a man going about his life, completely unaware that a version of him was falling in love with his relative's cousin, hundreds of miles away, one message at a time. For nearly 10 years, Cousin... So? Bobby. Every message, every Skype call, disguised in a whisper to hide her real voice. The stroke, the shooting, the witness protection, the divorce, the health scares, all of it, invented, sustained, and updated in real time to keep Kirat believing. To keep the illusion alive, Cousin built out an entire supporting cast, reportedly up to 60 separate fake Facebook profiles, friends, sisters, an ex-wife, a medical team, each with their own personality, their own way of talking, their own small details that made the lie feel textured and real. Kirat wasn't just deceived by one person. She was deceived by an entire fabricated social world, engineered and operated by someone who called her family. And the bachelorette party sighting? Pure coincidence. That was the real Bobby, the actual cardiologist out at a bar, having a normal night with no idea who Kirat was, which is exactly why he barely spoke to her, and exactly why, years later, standing on his own doorstep, he told her the truth. He genuinely didn't know who she was. As for why Cousin did any of this, spent nearly a decade constructing a fake fiancé, engineering a fake proposal, planning a fake wedding, manipulating someone she loved into a relationship with a person who didn't exist. She has never given a clear answer. Kirat eventually took legal action against her cousin. The case was settled out of court, with Cousin paying an undisclosed amount. But no settlement explains the truth. Why? No amount of money answers the question of what would drive someone to do this to a person they were supposed to love and protect. Nearly 10 years of a person's life, his emotional intimacy, trust, and hope built entirely on a lie authored by someone inside her own family. Kirat got her answers about what happened. She never got an answer for any. Why? So here's the question I want to leave you with. If you found out the person you loved for a decade never existed, would you have seen it coming sooner? Or do you think you'd have been fooled too? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this one, real, stranger-than-fiction cases that'll keep you up at night, make sure you're subscribed, because we post a new one every single week. See you in the next video.